Hello, and welcome everyone to this Circuit Streams workshop. I'm sorry we're a little bit late, just some technical issues here. Before we get started here, let me know if you can hear me and see me well in the chat. I would love to see if it's working fine. Okay, Lee says can hear me. Louise can hear me as well. All right, great. So welcome everyone. Before we get started here, a couple of housekeeping there. You might notice that there is a button right on the bottom right corner to disable the notification. So if they are bothering you, if you don't want to hear the buttons in the sounds in there, just disable this. We also have the chat here where you can interact, ask your questions, talk to people. There is a questions tab. If you have like a question you would like us to answer in the end, just add it there and we're going to check it. I would love to hear where you guys are tuning in from. So I am from Brazil and I'm in São Paulo right now in Brazil. Gabriele is in the Netherlands. So let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. New York, I see Scott there. Nigeria, Orlando, London, UK, Mexico, Canada, Calgary, UK, New York City. Okay, Israel, Ukraine. We have people from all around the globe, which is really cool. All right, welcome everyone. So today we're gonna be talking about UI design for VR from theory to practice. I have the pleasure to have Gabriele Romagnoli with me. And just let's see what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make a quick intro here about Circuit Stream, what we do for the guys that have never heard about us. Then Gabrielle is gonna get on stage to deep dive you guys on the UI design principles, theory, and practice. Then in the end, you're gonna have a Q&A, and I'm gonna wrap up. We have a Q&A, and then Gabrielle has a surprise for everyone in the end. So stay tuned until the end, and you're not gonna regret. So I am Jerry. I am the head of education here at Circuit Stream. I've been working in this industry, VR, AR, especially games, for more than 10 years. I'm a Unity certified expert, programmer, and instructor here, and it's a pleasure to be here with everyone today. And Gabriel is an expert in VR for design and communication. He's the head of Community Activori, one company that makes amazing tools for collaboration in VR, design in VR. He is working for around like 5 years as a VR creator, tech speaker in events, moderating cool events, meetups around VR, XR in general, as this one. And for guys that have never heard about Circuit Stream, we were founded in 2015. Our mission is basically to educate people out there, provide learning opportunities for people to get into VR and AR development. We host free workshops like this one pretty often. We also have some other learning opportunities that I'm going to go over in a while here. Our team is really diverse, distributed all around the world. We have people here in Brazil, in North America, Canada, United States, Europe, Asia. So we have like instructors with different backgrounds, different understanding of culture. So it's really cool to be in this environment because we learn a lot, not only VR, but a lot there. And one of the cool things about our instructors and our institution is that we have a good partnership with Unity. So we are Unity authorized training partners. So if you are looking into learning Unity to design or to develop, to prototype applications in XR in general, it's a good place to learn. The training partners are authorized based on their expertise, their focus on quality, and their commitment to provide the best learning opportunities out there. Our instructors are certified instructors, experts, professionals. So we maintain the highest level of certifications out there. We have worked with many different companies. We have helped them to learn how to build solutions, how to solve problems in XR. So we have some good ones there. You can see like the Navy, Apple, Hershey. So it's a wide variety of different companies that have learned XR with us, and a little bit of our academic offers. So we have two main paths if you want to get into XR. One is the XR development with Unity. So we're going to teach you how to program interactions, how to develop complex interactions in AR and VR in general. So thanks, Joe, for posting the link in there if you want to get the syllabus and more information. The other one, and I'm pretty sure you guys are more today, probably more interested in that one, is the interaction design and prototyping for XR. So this one is focused on people that want to understand the human factors, the process. If I can make the slide bigger. So actually I tried, but I failed miserably. I'm sorry. Uh, I can
Your
try
screen
again.
is just too wide. It's
My
the
screen,
screen
yeah, I
itself
have
is
like
not
1 meter.
Kindle.
I have 1 meter of monitors here. So yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to make that bigger, but I couldn't. I failed. We can send the material to everyone afterwards too. So in the follow-up email, so you can, if there's some detail that you can see, and if you have specific questions, please don't forget to post them in the questions tab so we can get to them. And the second question that the course that I would like to talk a little bit about is the interaction design and prototyping for XR. So this one is focused on people that want to learn how to design experiences, best practices around UI, UX, understand better how to solve problems with VR, AR, how to test that with users, prototype quickly. So we're gonna have a pre-understanding of the process and how to create nice prototypes. One good thing is if you are really rushing to learn, our next cohort starts in August 23rd, and today is the last day of enrollment, so you still have time. If it's not for you yet, we have another one coming up. I think in November, October of November. But yeah, so it's the last day to enroll in this one. If you are still like just almost making your decision, this is the time. We also provide mentorship, live support with a one-on-one expert. So it's part of some bundles for the courses, but you can get that if you is already like a step further. You already took the course, or you don't need specifically the course, but we're working on something complex and you need support. We can help with that as well. And we also offer private training. So if you work for a big company or a small company that wants to build that skill set with employers or for a specific project, that's a possibility as well. So basically, those are a couple of other learning opportunities that we provide. Enough of this, we're going to be learning today. So today in this workshop with Gabriel, we're going to learn spatial design for spatial theory for UI design, the differences and use cases between 3D and 2D UI, when to use them, how to leverage spatial correspondency in your UI design, and what are the tools that are accessible out there that can help you to share concepts, to convey your ideas. So with no more further ado, let's get into the show. I will invite Gabriel to take the stage, and I will come back in a couple of when he's finished to wrap up. Actually, before I go, I'm gonna toss a poll here just to know what are the devices that you guys have in there. So please take some time to answer, and it can help us to understand a little bit better of what you have there. So it's in the polls. All
There is
right.
a
So
huge choice, Jerry.
huh?
It's a long list of headsets. I
It
didn't even know
is,
there were
yeah.
so many by
So
now.
whatever you have, it's gonna be there. I'm gonna check here what I have, and I'm curious to see what you have as well. So, all right, I'm gonna leave the stage to you, and I'm gonna come back later.
Awesome. So let me get to share my screen and share my screen. Here we go and share. So you guys should see it. So Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. I'm gonna go quickly through. Right, I'm not gonna add much more beside what Jerry already said. Thanks, Jerry, for of course organizing this on a Friday. I heard that's not the usual date, so but that's great actually to close up the week with some stimulating thinking, and I hope you guys are gonna take something good away from this. So before we start, I have a little premise, right? So usually when there is about this topic, it's kind of like a little bit of everything is touched high level. So I would like to do the other way around. I would like to touch a few things, but maybe try to go a bit more in depth into it. What you will see also is that some of the things that I will show are not necessarily black and white. So there is, especially nowadays, there is not the right or the wrong answer when we are trying to design user interfaces, user experiences for VR, for AR. So it is take this as an input, as more of a trigger to start thinking differently, right? Of how you create, how you approach that. Now, I also want to do one thing, and I want to focus on VR for that same reason. So what happened is that there is this big soup. Oh yeah, we want to design for XR, but we all know that it's so different to design for a mobile, design for a VR headset, or design for an augmented reality headset. So let's now, for the sake of this, look at how it works and keep the conversation on design for VR. And then I'm pretty sure that some of the things that you might learn could apply to others, but let's focus on this. So, and finally, some of the images and some of the things that you will see are actually made in Shapes XR. That is this tool that us at Tori, we have built. And that's also why I want to, during, and let's see how it works. I hope it will. I think it will, so stay tuned. Is actually to go in VR and stream my own headset to explain you some of the topics that are actually so relevant. Because let's face it, right? Designing in VR on a 2D screen, it could be very often Figma. It could be very often just a sketch. It could be an After Effects movie created. Still gives only partially that idea and allow you to be just that flexible, right? And so this is basically one of the things that I want to go. So now, Jerry already made a good introduction about what we're going to talk about today. And that is about, so first we're going to go about theory, right? A little bit about it, and we're going to think about the view, what is the view frustum and the dim. We're going to look at how actually, based on this little theory introduction, how do you actually build a VR lobby example, right? So why are the lobby, for example, that right now we see in many games kind of like look somehow alike, and how to actually improve it. Hey Susan, hi. It's a pleasure to have you here. Then we will go into two things. So there is UI in 3D and there is 3D UI. I'm going to tell you what I actually mean by that and how to actually move beyond the flat design and what are the risks and opportunities that arise from this opportunity, from having a 3D UI or a 2D UI located in space. Those are the two things we're going to discuss. And as we said, if we're going to manage to cruise through without any problem, we're going to get a little surprise. And that is the reason why I'm curious also to hear your guys' preference. So I do have an Oculus Quest. Let's see what other people, and there is a 30% of people here so far that have an Oculus Quest. So what I only think I can say about it is keep it warm, charge it, because by the end of the session, you might need it. So let's go. Let's talk about the view frustum. So the view frustum is basically, as here it says, is the region of space that appears within the field of view of the user. And technically, frustum is just a fancy word of saying it's a pyramid with the heads chopped off. That's about it. And so you will see that consequently this view frustum has a volume, right? So when you think about it and you don't think as, hey, this has 110-degree field of view, it's very different when you start thinking and designing for it. And this is some of the things that we will see straight away. So what it means is that, first of all, it's not just a horizontal field of view, but there is also a vertical field of view, right? That also has an impact. And at the same time, it's also different in terms of it depends very much on the hardware. And also important, it also depends on the IPD, because some hardware have an IPD adjustment, and that field of view and that frustum also changes according to the IPD. So it's not something that we can say, okay, that's 110 done. No, that's not that easy. Now, another thing, and this is something that is particularly relevant, is that within this frustum, within this field of view, within this volume, the size is relative. What does that mean? So people often say, how big should the UI be, right? How well? The fact is that it's so relative, right? Because like in this image that I've built together, these things look on the right side kind of like the same size, while instead there are major differences, absolute size of that element, right? So this is something that has to be considered. So, and that is why the other elements that I would like to introduce to you is this concept that you might have read and seen somewhere else, and that is this concept of DIM, right? And that stands for distance independent millimeter. So some of you might already have know about it. And a DIM is 1 millimeter viewed at 1 meter away, right? So as a consequence, you have that at 1 meter, something that is 10 centimeters in size. If you want it at 2 meters, it should be 20 centimeters. If you have it at 3 meters, it should be 30 centimeters, and so on. So these are some of the guidelines that actually are suggested for text. So you know that a button, for example, the text within a button should be around 24 dim. A title should be around 32 dim. But of course, again, right, we are still talking about something that is completely flat. It doesn't feel, it doesn't have the volume. So let's now, what I want to do, and let me do it here straight away, is to actually do a little experiment and show you how this concept that you have now seen actually apply to an actual design, right? So when there is a user in an actual space, how does that look? So let me go in, and I'm going to actually stream what I'm seeing and explain you this concept straight away. So let's do that. I am now going to cast. And let's see. Now you should see this. I think it does. Let me just make it full screen, and here we go. So what I was saying is that now I'm using ShapesXR. ShapesXR is this tool that we have built that allows indeed to create, design, and prototype. And I'm going to use it to explain this concept, not because it's just our tool, but just because I feel it's particularly suitable to do this kind of explanation. So this is actually where it starts, right? So those were some of the images that you've seen. This is the frustum, this is a pyramid, and this is how it looks. I can actually go in this view and see how the field of view within feels. Now you will see that what is projected in the streaming is slightly different than what you will see, because during the streaming the field of view slight changes. But this respect what I actually see. Now let me go to that example. So this was this example of the size, and let's start here, right? So let's imagine you are in this situation, right? And your user is in this position. So I'm just going in, and you will see now that the UI in this case is actually outside my field of view, right? So I would have to turn right or turn left, right, in order to be able to see those panels. So if you think at the frustum as a volume, at this point you have different options in order to solve this problem, right? One thing. So now I'm going to create a duplicate of this specific scene here, and I'm going to say, okay, what can I do? Well, one thing that you could do is that, so I'm now selecting the panel that are in here. So one thing, and the easiest that you could do, is actually to push the UI away, right? So the moment that then you push the UI away, you will see that now you have it within your field of view. That doesn't mean, though, that the text is still going to be readable once you have done that, right? So this is one option. The other option is, of course, so let's say that it was around here, and some of you might, of course, have guessed, is that to make this UI smaller. So, and then I can do it. This was a bit too generous. let's say like this. And then I have put this UI within the frostum. So I can go back and I can see, right, my edge. Actually, this thing is just bothering me. There is no need for it. So let's throw it away. And I'm going back in, and here we go. Right, it's still about the peripheral, but it's much more centered. Maybe I should have done. Let's undo. I'm gonna put it back. The other option is also to actually, now I'm selecting this, is to rearrange this UI in space. So I could do this. Now I'm gonna be very quick, right? Because for the sake of let's say this demonstration. And here we go. Also this probably, this should be a little bit right. And just for people that are OCD, let's move this a little, and here we go. Now, if I go back, now I have rearranged this. And you see, for example, if I'm standing straight, how the elements that are on top are this big, right? So then you adjust and you move them down. And then you have it. So what is the point? Is design and think as the field of view or the area of the visual of the user is actually a volume, and it's not just an angle. This is going to also then lead to another point, and that is distance. So let me show you something. So if, let's imagine now that you are here again, and you will clearly see that the distance, let me do this. Yeah, this distance here, it's clearly bigger than this distance here. That means that the text, it's going to look skewed, and at the same time, you will not have, let's say, a good visual of these panels that are on the right or that are on the left, and you cannot respect the same aspect ratio. So what you do then is that, and that's, you will see now, that's how this will start looking more like some of this lobby that we have nowadays, is that these panels on the sides are actually, now let me also maybe make this a bit more centered again, and here we go. Now when I go back in 100% scale, here I am. Right, now you see that if I turn, I have one function. If I'm going straight, if I am left, so then everything is a function of the UI is within a certain area of my field of view, and then each one of it is approximately at the same distance. Right. So now another option, and that's also you see more often, is to emulate this with basically a panel like this, right? And now I'm curious to see if anybody actually is going to recognize what is the next step. And what does this look like? Well, this looks like exactly like the Oculus for anybody, that people that are watching, actually the Oculus UI. So you see that they aim at one objective, that is keep always the UI within your field of view. And at the same time, you see how also, interestingly, let me maybe also do this. So there is also one thing. So there is always, you guys probably have also seen that there is this area within the user that is actually shouldn't be touched. You shouldn't put anything within this volume. There is one that is kind of like the comfort zone, something that can be easily reached. And then there is this 10-meter area that is actually what is usually at a comfortable viewing distance, right? And you will see how this UI actually, not by chance, is actually positioned within this volume. So let me just change the color here to have like a bit more transparent so that you'll see. Yeah. So you see how now this is within this volume again, right? So this was a little bit of an example, and to show you how then this concept about the volume distance then play an important role when you start designing, and where having not just a flat image in front of you is actually used. So for anybody that is actually interested or asking, so this program is called Shapes XR, and it's freely available on AppLab. You will receive, Jerry will make sure to actually send this in the email confirmation. And let me also see if now I can drop very quickly a link. Let's see if I can drop it here. Here you go, for anybody else. So this was the first thing that I wanted to show you. Now let me stop streaming, and I want to keep the conversation going and show you something slightly different, right? Because we have seen now how what is happening right now, right? So let me go back to the deck. So you have two options you have seen, right? So you have the option to keep everything kind of like within the field of view, but you do have also the option to play with it, right? So to have different function or section arranged of the field of view of the user. Now, at this point, you do have two kind of choices. So when you design this lobby, you can go wide or go deep. So the choice of Facebook, of Oculus, was actually to go deep. And when I'm talking about deep, I'm talking about architecture. So let me show you what I mean. I'm now going to share a video. So Elon asking, can you export? Not now, you cannot export. How would you like to export? Maybe it's one question, but nonetheless, so you can take those pictures that you have seen, and this is something that it's constantly in development. So you will have many options. You can always contact me, and we might have something. And for Maxime, who is asking, Tvori and Shapes are two very different products, because actually in Shapes it's a collaborative app, so you could be with other people in and design actually together. Right, so don't mix up, and it's also partially our fault for it with the Shapes, because those are two very different products. And I want to show you this. So what I want to show you is the following. So Facebook decided to go deep, and what does that mean? It means that, for example, let's look at one of the basic things. So let's say you would like to, once you're here, you access your UI, and then you would like to access the setting, right? So to access the setting, what you do is that now you are going deeper into the architecture, right? So you are going to click on the general settings. You would say, okay, these are for some quick one, and then you go deeper, right? And then you go deeper again, right? So what you have done now, you have in a way kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't say complicated, but you had multiple layers to reach to the actual stage. So, and this is indeed something that you have to consider when you want to keep everything within the field of view of the user. Now, another option is instead, for example, to instead of going deep, is to actually go wide. So this is instead Blaston. So this is another game, it's another VR game, and you will see here a couple of things. So first of all, you go in a selection, in a part of the selection, right? And this is, so let's say that you see this weapon that I am actually pointing at in this video. So what you do is that, so first of all, you would see that while I was recording this video, I'm seated, right? So when I'm seated, you see that some of the weapons that are actually in my field of view actually obstruct the view of the panel, right? So this gun that is actually in there is actually obstructing the view of the panel, of the weapon behind. So now what I'm doing is that, damn it, I cannot see it. I have to move left, move right. Now, the fact is, okay, let me maybe try to stand, right? And now the situation is a little bit improved. Of course, I'm not that tall, so that was not a major improvement. But what I want to show you is this. So let's say that I want to change the skin of my weapon, right? What happened is that once I change the skin of a weapon that is actually on my right side, I haven't seen if that happened or not, right? So now it's outside my field of view. Look, the skin changed, And I don't know if that happened, right? So the guns that you see floating around are in 3D, right? So the guns for Healy are in 3D, but the panel behind is in 2D. That is not necessarily a bad choice, right? The fact is that when I'm changing the weapon, I don't see it. Now, what the developers have done, rightly, is to add two things. One is an audio cue that plays only on my right here. You cannot hear it here. And the other is to have kind of like a flash that moves toward that direction. And you might see while I play this. Yeah, you've seen it. Yeah, it's kind of like for a fraction of a second. But you would see sometimes that there is a little cue telling you, hey, something up on your right side. So that is the kind of thing that you have seen. So so what does that mean? It means that how can I, let me see, can I close this? Confirm. Yes. So share my screen. Is it my screen fully shared? I suppose I still imagine it is. Okay. So what you have now is that you have those two options. So remember, when you are organizing, for example, for a lobby, so to think about all the aspect about the distance, about the that if you want to keep all information within the field of view of the user, you need to add layers onto the architecture. Or if you want to still stay wide, to make sure that everything that actually the user is doing is kind of like localized and he doesn't have to turn. And if there is a necessity, add cues, like for example, the developer of Blast have done with an audio cue, or maybe some others. So I am not sure that this is that is big for you guys. I hope it is. So let me go forward. Let's know this is okay. So we'll talk about this space, right? I want to show you another thing. So UI in 3D. So there was actually someone mentioning, is it a UI element 2D on 3D? And is it, if it's 2D UI, position this space, then it's 3D. That is a way of saying it, right? I mean, it is. If you have a 2D panel position in a 3D space, that is 3D UI. That could be a way of looking at it. Now, when we look, let's just look at that specifically, right? Let's look at this reality where there are these 2D panels positioned in a 3D space. So what can you do to actually improve the design of those, right? So we've talked about this lobby, but very often when you start, when the users start joining the experience, the point is, how do you actually make sure that this is that you create a good user experience overall, right? Because that's what the UI is about. So you have basically one thing that you can use is what is called spatial correspondence. So to have certain elements of the UI close to some of the objects that are particularly relevant, right? And might seem obvious, but you will see now another example in which that could be applied. Another thing is to have this UI that you have in space be on demand or reactive. So that means that not show all the information all at the same time, but have that popping in during the experience. And the other is make sure to use the blank space. So use the blank space is space that you cannot use, that is not that you can use, that is actually empty, that doesn't cover the content, or at least think about the role of that UI if it's going to occlude the content that you have in front of you. So what I want to do is actually, let me actually go back a second, and I'm going to go back in shapes to give you another quick example. Let me go in. Let me go and start casting again, and cast. And it is not casting right now, and it is very interesting. So let me close it. Let me stop. And let me try a second. Casting. And we go. Meanwhile, again, let's see. And it's still not casting. So let me try also to actually, before restart this quickly. And check that everything is open. Meanwhile, let me also make sure that this is closed so that I have only one. Restarting. It's experimental, guys. It's experimental. So we are all cutting edge, bleeding edge of technology. Let's see if we can get this to work. Confirm. Try again. Cast to the computer. Next. And I am now going to Oculus. And here we go. Here we go. It didn't let me down. It didn't let me down entirely. Good. Good. We'll manage. We'll manage. So I am going back. So and here we go. So the other example was this one that I wanted to show you. So this is basically this little prototype, right? And it's all high level, it's all sketchy, but that's indeed the purpose, so that you can actually ideate and show your own concept and your own idea very quickly. So this is what we're going to do. On the left hand, you see that there is this as the starting stage. And I'm going to go through the different stages, the different steps of frame, call them however you want, to show how this little kind of like selection of three different technical training actually looks like. So the potential, let's maybe add a little headset so that we get then and yet there is a VR user here, and let's also make it gray. Okay, so this is a VR user in a space. And so when we do this, we then say, okay, so the user actually start selecting one of the training option, and you could actually select one or the other. Now, at this point, you already see that there are multiple ways in which this could have been done. So if we go back to option one, right, and so to the beginning, so this could easily could have been done with some sort of like a highlight about potentially a user. So this could have been like this, and then maybe add a little head on top. Again, right, super quickly. The purpose is just to illustrate this. So this could have been another way in which actually the intention of going to that specific position could have been done. So I'm now using this, but what would happen is that it would actually cover part of the equipment that is in front of me, that is in front of the user. So in this case, I would say that putting this one in this specific position doesn't serve the purpose, right? It's not ideal because it's covering part of the equipment. Probably the user want to see which equipment is going to start his training. So that being said, we don't like it and we take it away. So we go back, select 1, 2. Now, what happened instead is that when he has the option to select different trainings, and then he can actually confirm his choice, and that's the moment that actually this panel starts appearing and the highlight for the user. Now, this is a way of doing this, right? And you could imagine how actually this panel could look like. So in that case, I've used that specific that distance right up where there is actually the blank space. Now let me go in. So now I am actually in. So this is one option. Or there could be another option where actually the panel could instead be suspended closer to me. But you see how then basically compared to what we were doing before, this is covering what is actually behind, right? It's covering more content. And that is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It is, again, a design choice. Now, another option would be also to, instead of after this decision, right? So let me move this last one. Let's say, where was it? Here. And then I move it here. And then duck. Right. So the other option would be that after this specific option is selected, the user actually then goes to this, is immediately teleported to that viewpoint, to this. So, okay, you have chosen that specific training. Now I, as an instructor, I'm going to bring you closer to it and then show you how the training takes place. Now, again, you will see that part of the panel is on the left, and you could play around with it, right? So you could say, well, I don't want this panel here. Maybe I would want it here, right? Again, maybe occluding some part of the UI. Another option, you could say, well, what I want to do instead is that maybe I want to have it closer to my attached to my hand, and that is where people are going to see it. So then what you do is that you could actually scale yourself and then says, okay, how would it feel? Let me just delete. Yeah. So how would it feel to have actually this panel in my hand if I was at a height in front and the information would be linked to my hand? There was also one other thing that I forgot to show you, and that is actually showing the spatial correspondence again. So we're talking about blank space, we're talking about on demand, so having this UI appearing only when the user has made a choice. But there is also the spatial correspondence aspect. That is, so show still, for example, with some visual cue that a certain element in space is attached to a location. So the way this could be done, for example, is that you could make, for example, a little dotted line, right? You could say, hey, I am doing something super quickly, but then you have, okay, so I know that this explanation still belongs to that object in space, and this could be used in several different ways. So what I'm showing you right now is indeed how to actually attach a UI to have this spatial correspondence. And this was still what I think is still 2D UI in 3D. But I want to show you a simple example of what I think it's the 3D UI, and that is something like this. So this is our sun system, and it's nothing super fancy. You do have a slider to change the intensity of the light, but you have a sort of interaction and a volume that allows you to change the position of the sun in space. Right? Again, this might not be the best example of 3D UI, but it's just to show you how, in this case, what I think is 3D. 3D UI, or at least I interpret as such. So let me now go out. Let me stop sharing, and I think the risk should be over. Now it should be a cruise. Yes, you can, in this program, as of next week, you will be able to import OBJ model with textures, PNG, JPEG, and just go nuts with it. So yes. So now I want to wrap this up quickly. I'm telling you about this 3D UI. So 3D UI for me, at least, that's my definition, and it's certainly different. It's just the way I think about it. It's something that has a volume, or where the interaction is actually embodied, right? So where you actually grab a lever or move something, like for example the sun, right? That is a physical interaction. It's not a laser pointer where I click. That is, for me, still 2D, or at least what I consider. Now, there was this study, actually, it's quite interesting, that compared different 2D UI and the perception of people. And what was fun is that, so overall, people that were having a 3D UI, and in this case was it's really a 3D UI because was dipping a brush in a bucket to pick a color instead of pointing at a palette to pick the color. People had took much longer to actually understand and perform the task, right? So be careful about this. So, and there was especially a major difference between people that had no, there were 3 seconds difference between people that had prior VR experience and people that haven't. Important also to consider. So you would say, okay, then we go always to the UI. Well, if it wasn't, that one part of the result, they evaluated as 3D UIs more fun, and in general, not that different also in terms of overall experience. It's actually even better. So what does that mean? It means that when you want to design a 3D UI, where should you use it? So these are some high-level guidelines, and then you should feel free to experiment. And one of these is, for job to be done, an abstract task, it's usually better to stick with 2D because it's familiar, because people understand it, because they don't want to be entertained, right? It's something that is, if it's a data visualization, for example, application on a machine, and this is what even for AR and so on, the fun aspect, entertainment aspect is, it's not as important as getting the job done effectively without me needing to actually go deeper into it. So, and instead, when it's something that people want to be entertained and they're trying to find something new, that is the moment that you should experiment. And this is what I've loved this article that was showing this UI of this game called Electronauts. And it was incredible because you see how basically what are the stick. This is kind of like a percussion game, but they were so clever that technically those are like laser pointer. Right? Technically, you go there, you grab, you put it on a cube, you grab it, and you see that you have these cubes. And once you do that, and once you position that UI on one of the slots, that is the moment that actually the UI appears. So try to think about 3D UI as something that enriches the experience and actually is. It will certainly enhance the fun factor, but that is that is not necessarily the thing that you should aim for always, right? And I suggest you need to check this article because there was a very in-depth analysis of it, and you can certainly learn more. So this is like indeed to close it up this thing before we go maybe into questions, and indeed for that little experiments at the end I think we should have a little bit of time, and that is 2D is familiar and get the jobs done, right? So it's good and should be used again for abstract tasks, browsing through files, having a list, and so on. To entertain and delight, right, reconsider 3D UI. Right? Do not stick with what is safe, because at the end, as you are seeing in that study, like in many other cases, it's still people are still there to have fun, to be entertained, and to have something added to their experience. And that is also why actually many people I've seen several posts already, they are not that amused with the Facebook with the Oculus UI. And why is that? Many say that it's just why am I in VR? Am I still pushing button like if on a mobile phone? Right? That is one of the things that people complain. And then of course there is icon significance and whatever. It's a very complex challenge, of course. But nonetheless, there is some that people think, okay, I want something familiar. I want to know. I want something that I know how to use. And there are those that also like still want and like new experiences. And just think about Job Simulator, incredible experience where everything is 3D, everything is in 3D. I think almost everything. Then another thing is that experiment and break these design conventions early. What happens? This is something about what our mission. So our mission is to get more design and get more creatives to start experimenting early, fail fast, and do it in space. And that is the exact reason why also I encourage you to go there and experiment, and be sketchy, and then show something to the developers and have them tell you, no, this is not possible, and that is fine. But start that conversation, right? Start a conversation, create it in 3D with something like shapes. Some people use Gravity Sketch, some people use Tilt Brush. And in general, it's just to be there in VR and try to design this experience, design this flow. And that is why really we believe that this stage system is what really is a game changer when it allows you to create and to tell your story, tell your user flow, design interaction, and so on. I'm closing up here. So with a strong with a strong recommendation to go out and play. So for all the people that actually have a quest and want to start creating, please go there. And actually, who is still a quest? And I see around 32% of people. Please don't leave, because we might have a nice surprise if Jerry is back, that I don't see actually right now, or he's still in. Jerry, here you are. I was afraid for a second. He left me alone. Now what am I gonna do? We don't hear you, Jerry.
Oops, there you go. Just now I just left to give you more space in the screen because I was just like taking a spot. So yeah, thanks a lot, man. That was really, really cool. I've learned a lot too, and I'm pretty sure people in the audience as well. So I'm gonna wrap up real quick here with a couple more information about the learning opportunities. I will be really quick, I promise. And then there are some nice questions on the questions tab. So if you still have any questions that you haven't posted in there, I've seen that Carla is pretty active in there with good, interesting questions. So if you have more, feel free to use it. The questions tab to ask questions about the content, about what's possible, about what Gabriella thinks about the future, wherever you're interested. So just gonna take some time here to go over the long-term commitment learning opportunities that we have. So we offer lots of those free workshops. They are short, they are really on point, interesting, with new content in there. But we also, if you want to become professional and get into VR for real, into XR for real, or to upskill, change careers, we have a couple of offerings. So the first one is the XR Development with Unity course. This is a 10 weeks course, live and online, with amazing instructors. We're going to learn from the beginning fundamentals until you're going to become a developer, like a VR, AR, XR in general developer. We also have the interaction design and prototyping for XR. So this one is, you're going to learn more about what Gabrielle spoke about today. You're going to even learn like about how to use shapes and other tools in a good way, like how to make the most of that. So yeah, it's those are the main ones in there. The next XR development with Unity course is in September 14th. That's the next offer that we have. We have different times, so whatever you are, we're probably gonna have some time that works for you. And the next interaction design and prototyping, it starts in 2 weeks from now. And today is the last day to enroll for this one. So if you are ready for that, just start. No experience is required. So this is one thing that people usually ask, like if I need to have any background and experience, and not really. So have no fear. We're gonna go from the very beginning, introduction. We have a project-based approach. We have a community. So you're gonna need to have a good PC out there. Doesn't need to be the best one, but with some compatibility with Unity, at least for you to get familiar with the software. We also recommend that you have a headset, like a VR, such as the Oculus Quest. But if you don't, it's okay. You're gonna be able to survive as well. So if you have Android and iPhone or iPhone phones in there, you can use that as an alternative. So we're gonna learn different platforms, and you can use different platforms too. Another thing, and this is one of the things that I like the most, is that we have a really nice community. We have a big community out there that offers you support. So if you're getting in trouble, you have specific channels that you can talk to other professionals, to the instructors. We host some events, so weekly coffee hours, show and tell, so we can socialize. We started to offer the coffee hours in VR. So we have been like every week trying a different tool, and maybe we can use shapes. I know it's not for that, but we have been using everything that allows and supports multiplayer for us to get out there and talk about life. It's not like necessarily technical, but we have opportunity to make networks and to get to know more people in the industry. Also, we have a demo day at the end of the courses, so you have the opportunity to showcase what you built, and we usually invite people to give opinions and tips and review your project there. So the community is really nice. We have office hours every day. So every day, if you have a technical problem, you don't know what's going on, you can go to an office hour and ask one of the instructors and for help. So the XR development with Unity, I think I mentioned all of those things, but in terms of prices, we have. Let's see here. Let me see here. Okay, yeah. So we have a couple of different approaches in there. The first one is the XR development, as I mentioned. We have the next starts in there. We also have the opportunity to get certified in the end. So if you complete our course, you're gonna have our circuit screen certified XR developer or XR designer badge. It's an open badge recognized by the industry. If you successfully complete the course, and you also have the opportunity to get Unity certified, so we can help you to prepare and whatnot. We have two different bundles, so this is really cool. If you want the starter pack, you can go with the course plus the Unity certification. But if you really want to dive in and you have more time, we have the plus package. This one is going to come with everything that we have in the starter pack, plus an additional C# course. So if you want to get prepared with C# before starting the course, and Oculus 2, so you can experiment the course in the best way possible and use shapes and other tools out there, and also one-on-ones with experts. So we're gonna have 10 hours of one-on-one, you and an expert, not only the class, but like if you want to work on a project or you want to like build cool stuff that sometimes you don't have time in class, with the plus package you can have one-on-ones. This works for both courses, for the XR development and XR dev. And I have good news: today is the last day of the summer sale. So if you're like on the fence, I think that's a time to decide. If you subscribe today, the XR development pack with one-on-ones and everything is 1,000 off, and the XR dev and design, both of them. And the standalone courses, if you're not prepared for the one-on-ones and you don't need a quest, you have 20% off. If you are alumni, you have 30% off. So this is the last day of the summer sale. So you need to contact us today for this opportunity. If you don't have all of that money up front, we have like flexible payment plans. So you can pay every 3, 6, or monthly. So we have like the different plans out there to help you. Contact our admissions team if you're not sure, like, hey, is this the course, should I take the XR dev or the XR design? You can contact Steph, Kyle, or Brendan. They're gonna ask you the right questions and guide you to the right decision. So feel free to reach out, and then they can help you to decide. If you want to know more about the course, like what is covered every lesson, you can download the syllabus. That's available for both of them. Thanks, Joe, for posting the links in there to help you guys. And the last thing is our Slack community. It is open. So if you want to join our community, you have access to most of the things. Some things are like more related to the courses, but almost everything is available to everyone in our community. So you can join our Slack and get to talk to me and to our students and to the instructors. Introduce yourself, join the discussion groups, the study groups, and make the most out of it. So it's public. If there are some students out there that can talk about how amazing the community is, that would be cool. How can I join the Slack? Oh, the link is just there. Sonia just posted the link in there.
Above you, just above
you. Yeah, one post above you. but that's it. So I would like to thank Gabriele again for the time. Before he talks about the surprise, there are some cool questions here that I would like to highlight. So I'm gonna sort by upvotes. The ones that have upvotes here. I already answered that. So now let me go by date. Cool. So the first one is by Carla, and or they are asking, is this DMM distance framework applied to all VR devices?
Yes, it's a concept that is applied to technically space and the volume, as I said. So yes, absolutely, any VR device has this, and I believe it also applies to AR in a sense. Even though, of course, given the differences in hardware and resolution, you might need to be those recommendations that I've got might not apply the same to an AR to just to the resolution of the headset, the device, the screen, and so on, the technology behind. But the concept of DIM is the same, yes.
Cool, cool, cool. And the other one is by Carla Eder. In what scenarios dip is better than wide and vice versa?
So deep is it depends on the moment, right? It depends when you want to use it. So I wouldn't say that there is one that is better than other. You see that, for example, if you can cluster functions, right? For example, let's think about one of the most popular games, right? Beat Saber, right? You have in front, you have the list of songs. On left, you have the modifiers, right? On right, you have the leaderboard. And that's it. It just works and it's just fine. There isn't that need to go deep. Because every time that you go deep, you need to the architecture get more complex and it's okay, where should it go? And then you need to start thinking about an icon that represents something, right? And maybe another visual cue and so on. So think about what kind of experience you are building and make a decision and try to mix and match, because what is also deep? Is one layer deep? Well, maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's just fine. But then when you go one, two, and same things for your menu, same things for what is in your field of view. So it's something that has a balance. And as I said, I know it's not maybe the best answer people would like to hear. There is no black and white. It's guidance that you need to play with.
Like almost everything in design, right? They're
Right.
like
Then, yeah.
there are sometimes best approaches, but everything depends a lot on the context where you're trying to build, the limitations that you
Right.
have. So cool, cool. So the next question that I have here is from, I think it's HH Lee. Not sure if that's a different way to pronounce that. Correct me if it's not okay. It will work as 3D UI efficiently if I make 2D UI into 3D UI in Unity. Example, if it's panel, then make it a 3D panel. So I think maybe that's a question for me, like as a technical question. So actually the UI system in Unity, it's not really efficient, the one that we have right now. So if you, for example, add that to if you have, for example, a canvas and you make that into a 3D panel just to have like the word space or like a depth UI, it's going to be as expensive as a screen UI. Like it's basically the same. So they have some recommendations depending on what we want to do, which is basically like not using the UI system, but using 3D shapes. So that is impressively better. If you have, for example, like a curved panel, it can be like module, and then you apply textures, you map that UV. Even if you want plane, it's better to use a plane than just use the UI canvas. Of course, it depends on the complexity, how many elements, layouts. One thing is that in 2D screens, like you need to make it flexible, because when you change the size, like if you go to a different mobile, it's going to be bigger or smaller. So you need to recalculate, and that's not very efficient. But in VR, that's not the case, right? The panel it has a size, and that's the size of the panel, so you don't need rescaling. So using the UI system, it's not always the best approach, especially if you have lots of elements. So yeah, using 3D UI as 3D elements is more efficient most of the times than using a 2D UI as
Flat
3D.
image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like it depends. If you don't have like many elements, it's just a couple of tags and some buttons, it's not gonna play a huge role on your performance. But if you have like really complex UI with many layers and buttons, maybe you need to think about like using 3D, like real 3D and not 2D as 3D.
Right.
Cool, 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 cool.
So Jerry, I do have a question. Maybe should we try to do it? Right? Should we try to do this little experiment and get people in? Because I don't see. I don't think that there are other questions.
Oh, I
Right? Am I
think
correct?
there are just two more. So let's see if we can get to those two real quick, and then we do the experiment. So this one by Sonia. What's the difference between VR developer and VR UI designer if we look into daily
Okay.
job
Right. Right.
task and the career future chance and payment? If I'm interested in both, how I can make a right decision? That's a good question. So hey, Sonia, I know that you joined the community. I'll ask you to ping me so we can discuss a little bit better about that. So first thing that I can do is in terms of salaries and opportunities, the range is the same. So you're gonna find things in the same range for developers and designers. It's more popular to see jobs for developers because this is like how the industry was built, but it's
Right
changing.
now.
It's
Right now,
changing.
Jerry.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's changing really quickly. Like if you look into it now, you're gonna see there are lots of, and they are starting to figure out like that they need different people for different things, as it is in other industries. So you're gonna see VR, the UI designer, UX designer, which is completely different from UI designer. I have seen lots of prototyper, like people that are just to build the prototypes that can be tested. So in terms of opportunities, we still have more slightly more opportunities as developers, but this is changing. And in terms of salary, it's paired. Like you're gonna find junior, mid, and senior in all of them with similar pay range. But that's not an easy, a really easy answer. So feel free to reach out for a little bit more of discussion there. And there is, oh no, I think I answered this one. One last question. So that's gonna be our last question. So we have time for the experiment. What would be a good way to develop your skills in UX for AR VR application? So I will leave that with Gabrielle first.
Right. Indeed. I mean, I think that one thing you should do is first of all get a headset and also start exploring what is available, right? So start exploring what are it could be about the games, but one other incredible resource is SideQuest. So if you go just on SideQuest, you will see how much variety there is, right? And you will just see how people are experimenting and think and start to learn with the same way you usually look at what is for 2D, right? So, okay, what's the user flow? How are people? How does the information architecture of this app look? So, start getting your hand dirty by studying and experiencing stuff. The other thing is like, I mean, of course, like the one at Circus Stream is certainly like a great start for something like this, right? Because you get really kickstarted, you get into like this good community and guidance and the important things that are also because Unity is important. Let's face it, the release part is going to be there to build a prototype. You need that basic knowledge, but I do believe that having also the right to ideate, prototype fast, and share that it's something incredibly valuable. And that is why I think if you get a Quest, go and get Shapes because it's free and because it allows you to get people in and start talking about the UI. It is just another experience. I can guarantee it's another experience and start from there.
Great. All right. So thanks everyone for coming. Thanks for the questions. We are gonna. So Gabrielle is gonna share the surprise experiment here, and we're gonna go somewhere, and then I will end it here. But thanks for coming. Feel free to join our Slack channel to reach out if you need more information, to connect with us on LinkedIn, and you're gonna receive the recording links for the software and everything else. So let's let's see what is this
Let's
experiment
see.
and what
Let's
is the
see.
surprise.
So, guys, you have received the link before, and I am now also sharing my screen again. And let me do this while I set everything up. Everybody that also has a phone could actually scan the QR code and get directly Shapes installed on your device. And I'm gonna now share my screen and get you guys um, give you our room code, and you can actually join us, right? There is first people that will join will need to do a tutorial, but hey, for the sake of this, let's skip it, and then you will always have the chance to actually check it later. So whoever has an Oculus Quest 1 or a Quest 2 could actually join, and the link is also in the chat. So let me now share my screen. You guys now see what I'm seeing, and I am creating a new room. So how it is actually to create a new room, you go here, you create space. I'm now creating a blank space, and the code for this space is A97A55. A97A55. I am gonna type it here. A97A55. That's it. So let's see. Are there really those 30% quest in it? Right? Is this really true?
Sure. So let me type mine here. A97.
Yeah, let me share my screen again.
A55. There we go. I think I'm in. Oh, I see you.
Hello, Jerry.
Hi.
Nice to see you. So I'm gonna mute myself in shape so that people can still hear us from the audio streaming. And yeah, welcome to Shape, Jerry. Was this the first time you skipped the tutorial or you joined before?
No, I have joined before. I have tested that with a friend of mine, and we spent like some good time testing the tool. So we didn't prototype anything really useful,
Right.
but we were like testing the tools and the possibilities. So yeah,
Right. So that is indeed one of the things. So you have this ability to actually get assets and bring them in space directly from your hand, snapping and aligning object. And let's see. I'm really curious, guys. I really would like anybody that has a Quest at hand to actually join the space with us and go in. So A97, A55. So, and some of the things, for example, that people sometimes miss, I'm going to show now to people, is our gizmo tool, and for example, some option that allows to, for example, move an object precisely to scale it. Oh, here we go. Hi,
there
Dread.
we go.
Dread words. Nice to see you, Edwards. I suppose you still hear us from the live streaming, right? Shake your head. Yes, here we go. So I don't need to unmute myself, so I'm gonna prevent some echo here. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thread towards VR. Yeah, that's true. So it looks really weird to see us like just covering our eyes, moving hands in the air. The ones that are not in the environment. It's fun.
Indeed, and I mean, so here we go. We got another guest, Tebis KM. Hi, Tebis. Nice to see you. Hello. So you guys have now probably also skipped a bit the tutorial. You can move using your grip buttons and moving around. So if you use your grip, yes, that's it. You can move and scale with those. But I encourage you really to go and actually.
Yeah. Hey, Sandra. For this experiment, you need to have the Oculus. Yeah. Right now, it only runs inside of the Oculus. So if you don't have one, you won't be able to experiment this right now.
Right.
Yeah, this one is running on the Oculus.
Yeah, it's running on Oculus Quest 1 or Quest 2. So you guys now can, for example, on your left hand, you see that there are two buttons. The one on top give you access to the tools, and you can start goofing around for now with shapes or brushes, just to have an impression of what you actually could build. And you have seen some of those concepts that I have actually built. So you could do the same. There are also some templates. Maybe let's also show people that are here. So these are some of my spaces with the code where you actually could join in. And on top, there are templates. So those templates are some of the examples that we have built. Some are static, like for example, a house, our home office, a little conference room, a plant, a surgical, like an operation room, as well as some that have these stages, or let's say those steps that you have seen. So I'm going back, and people are indeed starting drawing, and the fun part is indeed to actually start creating and reviewing together. So this is kind of like an abstract, nice abstract creation actually. Travis, nice, nice. Let me add some color here. Let me make maybe some. Here we go. Let's blue eyes. That was my touch. And another thing is that what I also wanted to show is that any moment you can actually take picture of what you have created, and actually it's going to be in your headset. So you can create prototype, and then let's maybe also create this little sphere around us. Here we go. We got this little sphere around, and then we can take a picture. Done. And then these will be within your headset. Um, so guys, the idea here was indeed to show how easy it can be really to start creating together. That was really the idea. And of course, any moment you can contact me on LinkedIn, and Gabriele Romagnoli, you will certainly find me. And then if you're interested, would like to have like a proper onboarding, introduction, just really join in and contact me, right?
All
So
right. That was really, really amazing. And people actually joined. So this makes it even more exciting.
right, indeed. So let me first say goodbye. So properly,
Okay.
bye bye, guys. It was a real pleasure to have you. Looking forward what you build. Ping me, let me know, and it's looking forward to see that. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Let me say, okay, here we go. You said hi to the people in VR as well. Good etiquette. Uh,
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks, Gabrielle, for taking your time to prepare this awesome presentation. It was really, really complete, like from theory to practice to experiment with everyone. So I've learned a lot as well, Lee, and I think everyone did. So if you have any other questions that we didn't get to, um, just feel free to reach out to us, like if it's Circuit Stream on our Slack channel or LinkedIn. You can find Gabrielle on the social as well on LinkedIn.
yeah,
Feel free to reach out if you're interested in more information about the courses. Reach out to our admissions team as well. And I hope everyone have a really great rest of your day. If depending on where you are, good weekend there. And I hope to see you in the next workshop. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna have Gabrielle in the future again with us, bringing some content to everyone. So thanks, thanks, thanks.
it's a pleasure. Bye bye. The guys, don't hesitate to contact me. Get in touch with me, as Jerry said on LinkedIn, and let's start creating.
Let's start creating. Bye bye, everyone.